Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on the Hermitpack modded Minecraft 1.10 server. And we're going to do some automatic crafting today. We've already started on this project. It's a much needed part of the game right now because what I really need to do is work on my mob farms. And as it goes in modded Minecraft and sometimes in Minecraft as well, you want to do something and then there's a whole list of other things you need to do to get there. An example, let's have a look at our materials. We've got loads of iron, you'd think we'd never need some again. That's what I said about redstone once, but we're down to under 1,000 redstone at the moment, which is slightly alarming. Remember, we disabled our witch mob farm, and it's going to stay that way really because we need to rebuild them in our mob dimension. And where I've built some farms in the new dimensions recently, I have spent a lot of time crafting stuff. Now, one of the things that takes a lot of time is making the controller, the receiver and transceiver, and all the things that we need to do to access our storage in the other dimensions. So I spent a lot of time over here using these blocks, and then sometimes with Ender IO, like making the dimensional transceiver, I spend a lot of time crafting as well. And I've noticed that it's really sort of impacting my ability to do things when you spend tons of time crafting. So it was a nudge in the side to say, we need to get those things done, let's get this automatic crafting going. And so far what I've done is I've automated all of the stuff that we need to automate crafting. It sounds crazy, but I've started with the refined storage mob. Did you just shoot me? Because you kind of look uninterested now. What is with this guy? So yes, all of this stuff over here can now be automatically crafted, and what I've done is basically loaded the recipes into these blocks over here. Now they've sort of been spread out a little bit, as you can see. Like all of these have got 1 or 2 recipes in. I was thinking if we put them all in the same ones, then it might have to craft a lot of them, and it can only do one at a time, right? Like when you've got components from the same mod that make up other parts of the recipe, does it make sense to have them in the same spot? So if we go around, was it this one over here? So the external storage that we've got here uses a destruction core, for example, and I think when I put them in, they were actually in the same one together. So then it made sense to put the destruction core somewhere else so it can start crafting those parts for this one to then craft it. Otherwise it's got to do all of one and then the other. So that's why we've spread them about a bit, and I've sort of repeated that principle over in this room where we're auto crafting with machines. We've kind of touched on this stuff already before, but now we're actually setting it up and using it. So we're going to decorate this room, of course. You know I like to do that kind of stuff. But this is auto crafters hooked up to machines. They're pointing into the machines that they use, which are solderers, and the recipes up above have been made using this block, which can tell it that it needs to work with a machine. So in here you'll see that there's all sorts of stuff going on. Once again, I've tried to distribute these a little bit so that they're not all in the same ones. So let's take this one for example. We've got a improved processor here, and it uses a printed improved processor. What we don't want to do is put those in the same place, so it's over on this one here. So when we make those, this one gets working, and then that one gets working as well. It's kind of like the same thing that I've shown you over there, I've just showing you how it works over on this side. So all of that's been set up, it works really great. We should probably craft something. If we go over here and click on this, we can see all of the craftables that are available. What is it I would like to craft at this moment in time? How about some speed upgrades? We've got 2 of them so far. The recipe has now probably moved itself. Let's search for speed. Maybe we've got a 3rd one here. There we go. Oh, I only took 1 out because they don't stack, of course. Right. So now we can type in here and say how many we want. We want to make 12. And off it goes, and it will do all of these things, which is pretty cool. So it's got 8 of those available to make this, but then it needs to craft an additional 4. But because that recipe is already in there, it's now going to go ahead and do all the parts. So we might actually see it working on one of these. I forget which one has the speed upgrade. There you go, it's doing its thing. Let's make it do it faster by plopping the speed upgrades into here, and straight away that goes back into the system because down here we have importers. Now the power from the system is being daisy chained through this block, the solderer, which means it can power the one at the top, which is pretty cool. With Ender IO it doesn't work quite the same way. You have to power the ones at the top individually, but if you power this one, it powers all the ones that are attached to it as well. So this works with more than just its own mod, it can work with other machines as well. And so we want to start off with Ender IO. I use this mod a lot, and I would like to automate everything from it, which might be a little bit crazy because there is a lot of stuff. However, some of this stuff we'll probably never touch. So we need to automate things that we use a lot, and it can get a little bit tricky with this. The alloy smelter, for example, we can use to make ingots. Let's go and find one of them. And here's something really cool, by the way. If you click on the name alloy smelter here, it shows you all of the recipes for the alloy smelter itself. And as you can see, there are a ridiculous amount. Now, some of these are pretty much the same thing over and over again, so you don't have to worry about them, like these ones. But there's a lot of stuff that this can do, and so I decided just to focus on the alloys for now. Maybe we'll come back to the other stuff later on. So with only 2 of these smelters, what I've gone and done is duplicated all of the recipes twice. I think one of these, this one right here, you need the energetic alloy for. So the first machine could make the energetic alloy, and then the second one could start using that to make the vibrant. But chances are, if we're crafting a lot of stuff, this might not be the fastest way. But that's just the way that I'm going to do it for now. So I really want to start decorating this room next. You do know I like to do a bit of building, but we should get some of the basics done from this mod that I'm going to use a lot. And one of those things is the dimensional transceiver. So I've started to make the patterns for those. And we run into a little bit of a problem here with the slice and spice, because it needs an axe and some shears to keep it running. And as I'm about to hit record, I've realised the flaw with this, which I will come to in a moment. But let me show you how I think we're going to solve this problem. So over here, we have a filter on to insert only iron, axe and shears, and then over here we have the extract from this chest. So this is where those items are going to be stored. Now you can see there's a comparator on here, which means if those items are in the chest, then, or a item actually, the redstone is going to turn on, power this block, which will lock this thing, because it only works with a redstone signal. So when this is off, it is going to import those items into here. This is called an exporter. So you have to think about this from the system. Like the main storage system is going to export items through this block, which means they're imported into this chest. The problem here that I've realized is one item in this chest means that the power turns on. So if that item is an axe, then when it turns off and the axe goes into the machine, you might not get shears through next, because we're working with 2 items, which might mean we just have to double the system, so we have 2 sets of chests and 2 exporters. But anyway, we should be able to, in theory, give this a test. So if we add some cables here, now that thing's there, it hasn't sent anything in because there is no... I've missed a step here. It's also got to know to craft them. So it's okay, this thing exporting, but will it automatically craft them if it needs to export? Let's find out. We're going to chuck these into one of them over here. We won't put them in the same one. We'll put that one there, this one in the one above, and I don't think it'll do it. I don't think it'll automatically start crafting, but maybe what we could do is put them into the top slots and set them up so if there's none in the system, it will make a couple of them. So let's see if anything's changed over here. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so we emit a signal when we don't have one in the storage system. So, wait a minute, that's not the recipe. So we put this here. Now it would have crafted 1. Okay. And the fact that the light hasn't come back on again makes me think that the exporter isn't working. There's nothing going on over here, so maybe that's not how it works. Maybe it's not exporting these. Only works with a redstone signal. Wait a minute. It should be the other way around. Only works without redstone signal. And it just blinked twice, which means it actually got both of those items, which is interesting. Now, this thing doesn't want to extract, which it should do. It should extract and then insert. Why would it not insert? This thing has been configured so that the back here, yeah, pull into... Wait, it's already got 2 in there. Let's take those out. And it replenished it. And it did it again. And that's got both the items in. Maybe it just works. Maybe it just works for some reason. That's so cool. I think it actually... So if the logic behind why this works is correct or not is one thing. Another thing that I think will be an issue is which one of these runs out first. Because that's got 250... and it doesn't tell me how many uses the shears has, but unless they're the same amount, they're going to run out at different intervals, which may mean that the wrong item gets brought into this chest. Anyway, the whole point was to be able to automatically craft dimensional receivers for what I plan on doing next, and we sort of run into a little bit of a snag, although this is extremely cool. So this obelisk of experience, we have stored a lot of XP in there, and we can actually use the fluid conduit to turn that into liquid XP, which you can see right there. So that can be pumped into this block, meaning the player doesn't need to stand here and activate it. So there is unfortunately a little bit of a problem with a recipe that we have right here. It's this one right here for the It's giving us two outputs there. It's the ender crystal. Maybe that's part of the problem. I guess it gives you one of those as well, doesn't it? So this doesn't work inside of the system. It doesn't like this. And I think I know why. It's probably because the Enderman that I've got inside bottles are stored slightly different to that. Let's go into our storage system and actually just type in Soul Vial. You'll see that I've got quite a lot of them here. And those two MBT tags, if they don't match up, I'm going to guess that it ignores that. If we go to the dimensional transceiver and go to craft one of them, you'll see it struggles with this bit right here. And it says that we're missing the Enderman Soul Vial. And there it doesn't actually show the MBT data. So you'd think that would help, maybe it doesn't, but there it does have the two MBT tags. So something goes wrong somewhere here, and unfortunately it looks like we can't automate that little part. So we're going to knock the auto crafting on its head for now. I would like to talk about a couple of things. I've had a frustrating day on the server, I really have. I've been struggling to laugh at it as well. Things have been going wrong left, right and centre, and I've been trying to fix some problems that we have. First of all, I've got some more comments about how this works. We now have our transmitters on this side and receivers on the other side. It turns out a receiver does not need a controller attached to it, and when it has a controller attached to it, it breaks the system, and that's why when I come back into this dimension, this thing usually disappears. Now since then I've had some weird bugs with my power disappearing, and slowly this is powering up, and still in the end occasionally the capacitors there set themselves to 0, which is frustrating because then no more power comes into the system. So anyway, if you're doing this yourself and followed my advice, you need to go and swap this around. Your transmitter needs to be on this side, and then your receiver on the other end doesn't need a controller. It can just plug straight into a crafting grid, and then you can access all of your items. So you can see that I've also crafted the one probe, and a lot of people request that I have this. I get tons of comments about it, and I don't really like having extra text on the screen. To me it's kind of annoying when you're walking around and all of a sudden it's telling you you're looking at sandstone, you know. So people keep going on about this one probe, but I can't get it to work. Like, I think you're supposed to hold it and look at blocks, and it should appear on your screen just like this, because you can actually configure it, which is pretty cool. You can have it looking the way that you want to. I thought I'd keep it on this one. It's nice and clean. You can change the scale as well. All really cool stuff, but it just won't appear. And I've also made these glasses as well, and that doesn't seem to do anything. So if you know what's up with that, have I missed a step? I went and read the wiki, and there is no information on how to actually use this mod, which kind of sucks. So such is the nature with getting things wrong in modded, and vanilla to some extent as well, as you get a ton of advice about things to do, and you try these things out and not all of them work, and I've spent a lot of time trying many of your suggestions. This one right here sounded really promising. It can connect to a smeltery drain, look for liquids inside of it, and then you can tell it to give you a redstone signal based on some parameters that you set, and that is the first time it has ever actually made a signal, sod's law. I have been trying all sorts of stuff, and it would not do anything at all. And then it just gave us one little pulse. Oh, come on now, do that again. So this is working now. The reason why is linked to something that I wanted to talk to you about, because I got a ton of comments saying, why don't you just leave iron in there and take out the emeralds? Well, when you have a liquid at the bottom, that's the only one that you can interact with on the side here. So if you have iron at the bottom, the emeralds on top are not going to be visible by these conduits on the side. So that's why you have to cycle the metals around. Now, where I've taken out parts of the system where I've been experimenting, now the only thing we have is emeralds in here. And this blue line across the middle is like the 50% marker. So if I go over to this thing, drag it above 50%, no redstone signal, below redstone signal, because there's only emeralds in there. And with this, we should be able to tell these conduits to activate only when there is above, let's say, 10% in there, something like that. And then they'll take out the emeralds, and there'll still be some left in there to keep damaging the villagers. So with this block, we can actually do that. And the name of the block I will find out for you in a moment, because we can't see it when we right click on it. Another cool tip I got, by the way, was this block right here, which is from Refined Storage, called External Storage. You can set this to Fluid Mode, and I think this would have to be part of a Refined Storage network. And this one over here, by the way, has just decided it's not going to work, which is very frustrating. Can't seem to get it to work now. Don't know why. Anyway, it would apparently ignore the rule for only being able to see the bottom material. So if you had iron and then emeralds above it, it would be able to extract the emeralds. That would also be a perfect setup as well. So we're not going to use this anymore. We're going to make our system work with this block. And it is known as the liquid monitor. If you want to use this one yourself, that's the name of the block. This thing is working perfectly, and I moved the block over here because I was thinking we might want to wrap some more redstone around the back and have some more of these conduits attached to the side. The thing is, though, is these things suck out all of the liquid almost instantly, and it drops below 10%, and then we have to wait again. So I'm kind of worried that with more of them, it could accidentally take out all of it, but it seems that 5 of them like that seem to do the job just fine. You can see that 3 of them only activated there, so this thing is back below. Well, what I was just describing just accidentally happened. We now have none in there. Oh, so this system has its flaws too. Oh dear. So once again, it is a new day for me. Yes, this episode is recorded over multiple days, and the guys in Hermitcraft helped me out and showed me how to get this thing to turn on. So yay, we got it. We got all the extended information on our screen, which is pretty cool actually. If you hold down shift, sometimes you get extra bits like that. So here you could see owned by xisumavoid. If we go over to the other side to this machine, you'll see what dimension is being stored inside of it. Pretty cool. Big problem though, if we look at this chest and hold down shift, we get to see what's inside of it. You can see my one probe and glasses are in there. So at first I was like, this is cool, but you know, sometimes it fills up a lot of the screen and that's really irritating, especially when you're doing video. You don't want stuff popping up everywhere. So I put these into a chest, and that means that it's now just on, whether I like it or not. Which really sucks. Like, I don't want this to be on, and I don't want to have to fiddle through a menu looking for options in order to turn it on and off. It'd be nice just to put this in my hand and look at something, but apparently that's not the way it works. It's actually a little bit more bearable if it's down there in the bottom left. That's not so bad at all. Yeah, I don't mind that, but I would really like to know how to turn it off. So I had some plans for this episode, and with all the troubles I've been running into, I've decided let's just finish up what we're doing in this little area here. So I'm going to put in all the transformers and cables and bring it all up to speed, but we're also going to focus on this thing over here, which is the same as that one, except I'm putting in some recipes. I had a cool idea, which was to put in all of the chisel blocks. If we go around here, you'll see many of the recipes for chisel and for some vanilla stuff that can be chiseled as well is in the system. And the reason I decided to do this is because I wanted to work on this area. I went into my inventory to look for some factory blocks, and there were none here, of course. So now we can craft them automatically. I've also made some stack upgrades, by the way. Let's have a look for those. 12 of them in total. So the bottom ring down here is going to be dedicated to chisel. This is where I'm going to space out all of the different recipes like so, and then put a stack upgrade in each and every one of them. And oh, okay, now I've learned it doesn't do that, so it doesn't craft them a stack at the time. Well, I don't know what I crafted those for. We've used them before, and I can't remember where right now. It wouldn't have been in this machine then, would it? No. Oh, sorry, this one is what I'm thinking of. Huh, where did I use the stack upgrade? I know where. It's for connections like this, right? That's not an upgrade slot. No, this one? Yeah, look at that. It's already got a stack upgrade in. I wonder if you can put 2. Apparently you can put 2 stack upgrades in. Does that mean it does 2 stacks at once? I don't know. Either way, crafting those was a complete waste. All I wanted was some more quartz, and now my frames have been destroyed. Because there's so much XP from doing this that after a minute or so just destroys everything. It's a slideshow. It's a real slideshow. I was thinking it's funny because it's modded Minecraft, yet something like this can ruin the experience for us. Maybe I should have brought a experience solidifier with me. Hey, look at this. Waiting for server. Hi, come back again, please. Hopefully you saw it written down there. There was some lag. Oh, look, it's doing it again. Oh, it's my base. Every now and then my base just starts freaking out, but you can see the tooltip lets you know that something's wrong. Waiting for server. That's slightly worrying. What has gone wrong now? Once again, something with refined storage is messing up. Well, the base has stopped freaking out again now, which is cool. And I had a really good idea, really getting to grips with the auto crafting. You see, I wanted to craft up some of these again, and they take a while. So that's everything that you need right there in order to craft this thing. I think this bit right here will work just fine. Actually, it's going to be fascinating to see how that works, because you use a hammer to create, I think, this with an ingot, but the hammer has durability. So we've got the recipe for the hammer. Will it use one that's half broken? What happens to that? Does it hide inside the machine? Does it go back into storage? I don't know. I'm going to space these out again. We're going to start going on the next one up, though, because the ones at the bottom will be reserved for aesthetic blocks. There is also just one missing bit of cable right there. I did wonder why they weren't turning on. Oh, there we go. So now they should be excellent. They're on. Right, and we should be able to do this from down here immediately. Okay, so we are looking at our craftables. This thing is called a current transformer. So every time I want to make something now, I should auto-craft the recipes and chuck them into these machines. Let's craft, I think we need 12 of these in total. Let's start that, and we're missing... Oh, I missed a recipe. So there is also a bug with this part of the recipe. When you turn this into a pattern, it chooses even the first one by default, and we're using shears and the other types of plates, so had to make a custom recipe for that. Once this is in the system, we should be good to go. Excellent, everything is there. It's interesting that it wants to craft 2 hammers. Does it know how many times it's going to use a hammer onto that? I think it does. Look, 80 uses left. Well, they are coming through slow. It's not terribly fast. There you go. There's another one. That is really, really great. That is definitely going to be quicker than crafting them manually from now on. And it means that we can finish up this room. Here's another thing to add to my list of things going wrong today. Placing a block here. As you can see over there, we're going to place one here in the middle. But oh no! No, I can't place a block here. I can place a block above and below, behind and in front, but not in that particular space. And you're thinking what I'm thinking. Why don't you use a piston to push a block into the space? No. Doesn't work. There's something very wrong with this right here. I guess we're going to have to leave it alone. It happened over on this side as well, and there were facades here. And it was after I broke them that that problem occurred. So I went and grabbed some chiseled and bits. Chiseled and bits? Anyway, I placed it like onto the block, and it seemed to place there. Then I broke the block, and now it seems to be okay. So what we should see is, yeah, there you go. If you ever have that problem, now you know how to fix it. So this room's been tidied up. Still needs a lot of work, but it looks a little bit better than it did before. And out here, everything pretty much has been cleared up with exception to this wall over here. I'm not sure how this area is going to look really, but there you go. That's finally finished. And wait, we've got one more block to place. I tell you what, I am loving these tooltips. They take up a lot of the screen, but the information's so useful. So you can see how long you're getting along with this, and how long it's going to take to cool down, which is pretty cool. And also, I was messing around and figured out that you could do this. I don't know how long it'll let you expand this for. Maybe I'll sit around and try that. Look, that's ridiculous. But anyway, we're making these cobalt things right here. You've probably guessed, to upgrade our tools. That was part of the plan with going to those welds to get all of this stuff. We have an absolute abundance of it now. Like, as you can see, I've got 28 ingots right there, but we've got even more back at the base, and we can easily repair these tools. Now, apparently what you can do is simply put it in here with a new head type, and it will swap it over. Wow. That's cool. So how does its stats change? This one will lose... Doesn't lose its modifiers. It will gain... Hang on, I need to hold shift, don't I? Gain attack. That's not what we want. Mining speed goes up a tiny bit. Durability goes up a lot. Generally, that looks like a really good switch. We could possibly replace the other materials as well. I don't know if that's possible. And you can see here I've also put some of these on as well. We might as well make this thing unbreakable. And that's the last one right there. There has literally been zero downside to upgrading those bits, which is really cool. Please let me know if I can do it with the other parts. For now, I'm happy with that. And we're going to go use our lumber axe, which can't be broken now, which is really cool. Got something to show you with that. So you've probably seen this before, and it's nothing special. If you haven't seen it before, though, it's pretty cool. I love chopping this down, and I thought we'd do it together on camera. Because this thing's unbreakable, right? So now, in theory, it will get every single log here. In fact, it could go infinitely. Because as all of these different wood logs start to disappear, that would drain the durability on your axe. But this thing is unbreakable. Look at the XP going up. It's going to get another modifier before long. That is so cool. I love it. But these tree farms do pose a little bit of a problem. And that is the bits that they leave behind. They can be kind of fiddly to get to. It's practically ironic. I just thought to myself, oh, we might lose our items in our bag of holding again. I'll need to back these up. It's disappeared again. Now, I haven't left a dimension, so we can rule that out. I've been in this area since I last accessed this thing and opened up my tools, so we've still got our bags back in the other dimension. I'll go there to get them back. So I've come over here to pick up a bag of holding and restore my items, and I notice this thing has stopped working as well. This is the one that I mentioned earlier was working in this dimension. So now I've swapped it around. This is a receiver, the transmitter's on the other side, and that just doesn't work. If I put a controller there, it'll work, but it will pop off the controller on the other side. I don't know. I don't understand how it works. Okay, so now we're using an Enderlink bag, which has a smaller amount of space, so I've freed up a little bit of space from here if ever we need to store things temporarily. So this is hooked up to this, and it's not an item holding the items now, right? So in theory, if it doesn't freak out, like this is an inventory stored somewhere else, so then when we open this chest, all of these things are here as well, which is excellent. And we got another ender pouch inside the ender pouch, but that's our one for putting items into our storage system. So that is it from me this episode. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a like, and if you found it a little bit frustrating like I did, running into so many problems, if you got any idea how to fix some of those problems we ran into, leave a comment down below. Today's episode was obviously not the same kind of caliber that it usually is, but that's modded. I'm a vanilla player, I'm a newbie with the mods, and sometimes playing on here can be a little bit frustrating, but we'll be back into it business as usual in the next one. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.